TVA, internal comms. Subject line, the Meteor Man. Agents, Nakware and Jonathan. Gentlemen, Black History Month is upon us once again. As such, you're being tasked with reviewing a superhero film from the 90s with a great deal of historic significance. Does the Meteor Man deserve a place on the sacred timeline, or does its campiness and adherence to 1990s movie convention earn it a spot in the dustbin of history? As per usual, the choice is yours. There's a lot riding on this one though, so don't screw this up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Entertainment Variance Authority. That is Jonathan McNamara.
Hello.
Your keeper of the lore and the best beard this side of Texas. I am Nakware Howard, your favorite person's favorite person, a.k.a. Mr. Never At Me, a.k.a.
Instant mashed potatoes.
I hate that one. That's terrible.
Just add water.
No one likes instant mashed potatoes. Welcome to our arena of content where we decide which content will make it onto the sacred timeline and which content is deemed to be pruned. That's right, folks. We are judge, jury, and keepers of the timeline. Today, we are here to talk about Meteor Man.
Wait, hold on. Let me stop you right there. We're not here to talk about Meteor Man.
Oh, boy.
We're here to talk about the Meteor Man.
I hate everything you stand for.
Check the box art, dude. It's the Meteor Man.
I hate everything you stand for. Let's crack open the case file and get into it. So, do you want to give the people a rundown of Meteor Man? You had never seen this movie before.
I don't think I should do it. Yeah, I'll do my best version, and then you can correct me where I am wrong. The Meteor Man is a story about a African-American community in New York, right?
No.
Fuck!
Already fucked it up. It is in, I believe, D.C.
Is it DC?
It's either D.C. or Baltimore.
It's either DC or Baltimore. Okay, and it's overrun by gangs.
Correct.
It is besieged by cops.
100%.
The title character here is a substitute teacher and aspiring jazz bass player whose parents are doing everything they can to make the community better and safer for everyone involved.
Correct.
And he is kind of a coward. He is telling kids at school, like, don't stand up to your bullies, just run away and hide.
I have lots of thoughts on that statement.
And this is a big problem, because actually what the film culminates into is this idea that safety, community building, making the world a better place is the individual responsibility of every single person. And the way that we learn that lesson is because a giant green flaming meteor does crash into the main protagonist and gives him
superpowers,
many of which are shared with Superman, but
Agreed.
not all of them. And the most interesting superpower that Meteor Man gets is that he can touch any book and instantly understand the entire contents of that book for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, like, those 30 seconds are subject to movie magic, so sometimes those 30 seconds are 2 minutes. Sometimes those 30 seconds are 15 seconds, and it just depends. But it is about one man all of a sudden receiving superpowers and using it to make the world a better place. But actually, that's not what it's about. That's the surface level. And the deeper level is that he is, like Christopher Nolan's Batman, a symbol.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of
And
the film.
also, Don Cheadle's got blonde hair in it.
So we're going to get into
And
a
Sinbad's
lot
in
of
it.
the deets on this.
And James Earl Jones is in it.
I'm going to start with this. One, we will not be pruning this movie because it is blackety black. This movie is black as hell, and I loved everything about it. It is the first black superhero film. It is not the first black superhero to appear on screen,
Yes.
but it is the first full-fledged black superhero film. It is black directed, black owned, black cast. It is blackety, 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 black.
And for that reason, historically very significant.
Yes, it is very significant. And it is really cool to see how it came together. At the time it came together, it came out in 1993. So it's ahead of its time. Like, when we think of like black superhero movies, we're typically thinking of Spawn, we're thinking of Blade. This is 5 years before either
This
of
is
those.
1993.
It's significant in that way. The cast is insane. We're
It's
talking
wild.
Don Cheadle. We're talking Sinbad. We're talking Robert Townsend. We're talking, who else?
Problematically, we talking Bill Cosby.
We are talking Bill Cosby.
We talking Bill Cosby a little
We're
bit.
talking Eddie Griffin.
Biz Markie.
Biz Markie
showing up. Luther Vandross showing up.
It's nuts. The female cast members in this movie, Cynthia Belgrave, Marla Harris, Jennifer Lewis, Beverly Johnson, Charlene Woodard. Like, it's a nuts cast. Just preposterous. The soundtrack, incredible.
Yeah.
From jump, you just get a vibe. We're
Yeah,
going into
right
the movie with Michael Jackson. It just jumps right in. It's incredible. But it did do a lot of interesting things.
It is also a very 90s movie.
Yeah.
That really can't be said enough. There's a lot of stuff in here that only makes sense if you were breathing the air that we were breathing in the 90s.
Yes.
Like the random tiger.
Oh my God.
Like the Golden Lords just have a tiger in some scenes, but not all of them, because I assumed that it would cost quite a lot of money to rent a tiger. And they were like, we can only afford to have this tiger in like 2 shots. That's it.
So now that you've touched on one of my favorite feats of the movie, it's the main antagonist is a gang called the Golden Lords.
Yes.
And this is one of my favorite things about it is I don't understand how we allowed a gang of black dudes with all blonde hair to get this large. Like, it is jarring how many members there are in the Golden Lords, and they're all black with blonde hair.
Yeah.
And no one seemed to question this.
Hold on. Wait. It's not blonde. It is gold.
Fair. It is gold. Also, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I have a couple thoughts on like the role the Golden Lords play in this film. And specifically, is it just me, or are the Golden Lords the most effective criminal enterprise in all of film? They've taken over a major U.S. city. The cops can't get them out. For all intents and purposes, Meteor Man doesn't really get them out. Like, I'm thinking of every villain from Iron Man to... I don't know that many villains that have been this successful.
The thing about it is that they're so successful that there's an entire division of their gang that is just like toddlers.
Yes.
The baby lords.
Yep.
There's the Golden Lords is the overarching main name of the gang, but there are subdivisions. There's like the Lords, which are the adults. And then there's like, what do they call the mini Lords?
Yes.
Which are like teens.
Yes.
Teens and preteens.
The baby
and then there's the baby Lords, which are actual babies.
Yes.
So this gang is so influential that they are adding toddlers to their ranks. That's how entrenched in the community they are.
It's rather impressive. As J-Mac mentioned, they do have a tiger. Also,
sometimes
the number 2 of the gang, one of his premier accessories is a slinky, which is so of the time
a golden
that
slinky.
I was like, this is a golden slinky. Like, again, this movie could not be made in any other time than the 90s.
No.
Just exceptional.
And Don Cheadle, I think it should be pointed out, like Don Cheadle, who is like, I believe an Academy Award winner.
Yes.
Is in this film as like a number 2 in the Golden Lords. Like, with the kind of lines you would expect to see in an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the writing. Chef's kiss.
Can we talk about the structure of this film?
Okay, go ahead.
Because I think this is a very 90s thing.
Before we get into the film structure, I also wanted to mention that the Golden Lords do have what I can only deem as a Klay Thompson lookalike in their ranks, which, again, 20 years ahead of its time, very impressive casting. And also, there is a rather jarring cop criminal talk in the middle of the movie that I also just wanted to touch base on, where Meteor Man jumps in the middle of the fight and just absorbs bullets from the gang, and for some reason that manages to convince the cops and the criminals that we need to put our guns down and talk it out. Not that the criminals should put their guns down and are now going to be arrested for wrongdoing, but that we need to come together as a community and talk this out.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was the primary thing I was thinking about in terms of the structure of this film.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways, this doesn't feel like a film with one narrative thread. This feels like a lot of vignettes that got strung together. Like the scene you're talking about where the cops are shooting at a gang that's not the Golden Lords, it's some different gang.
Yeah.
And the gang's shooting at the cops, and Meteor Man descends in the middle of them and blocks bullets. And they're all like, you know what? Maybe we should come together as members of this community and talk through our differences, right? That scene could have gone anywhere after he got his powers and his costume. It didn't have to go where it did.
No.
And a lot of this film is like that. There's a whole scene that is wild. I'm going to say these words, and if you haven't seen this film, you may not believe what I'm saying. But just give me the benefit of the doubt for a second. Meteor Man finds an abandoned lot that is covered in rusted out cars, right? And he gets rid of the cars, but he takes the axle of one of the cars and uses it to till the soil of this abandoned lot. And then he shows up with, I'm not kidding, a 30-pound sack of just seeds.
Yep, generic seeds.
Just seeds. And then plants them, and then just kind of puts his Meteor Man hands
the meteor
over the soil, and some green meteor energy flows out. Cut to
next morning. We're assuming next
morning, because he also made it rain.
Yeah,
Meteor Man looked up to the sky and kind of like Meteor Man, his powers. He just looked up to the sky. He's like. And then it did rain, and then the next morning cut back to the same abandoned lot, and now it is overgrown with not just vegetables, but like comically large amusement park vegetables.
Yeah.
And
that can feed the community.
This is a community garden. It is the concept of a community garden taken to a superhero level. And so there are all of these little moments in the film where they're just like, I'm going to get off the rails a little bit. It's very similar to if you ever watched Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
A big part of Enter the Dragon was Bruce Lee wanting to incorporate his philosophy into the movie. And so there are numerous parts in the movie where like some character is talking to Bruce Lee's character and he's like, one moment. And then he like goes and does this whole scene that is about like his philosophy of Kung Fu or his philosophy of life or whatever. And then they come back and do the rest of the film. It's just like a little 1 minute aside. And I really felt that for Meteor Man. There is a plot. There is a cohesive narrative thread. There's a villain. There's like a thing to overcome. All that's there. But then there's also just these little tiny vignettes. There were multiple vignettes about people who abused the power of Meteor Man. Like Eddie Griffin at one point steals the suit, right? And it's not a major subplot or whatever, right?
And for context, Eddie Griffin is the main character, Robert Townsend's best friend.
Yeah, that reminds me. His other best friend is a dog, and one of the powers that he gets as the Meteor Man is the ability to communicate and understand dogs.
Yes. Well, animals.
Animals. I'm sorry. Does he talk anything about other animals, though?
No, but I'm going to assume he talked
it's probably animals. That's fair. Yeah, but like there's this whole subplot where Eddie Griffin steals the suit to claims to be Meteor Man because he's trying to get a date with a local news anchor.
Yeah.
It's just like this little vignette that gets like tied into the overall story. That kind of writing doesn't happen anymore.
No.
That feels very 90s, but it really works for this film and lets you have like a bunch of little kind of mini adventures along the path to the overall plot.
Yeah, it's an interesting film in that like objectively it is bad. The arc doesn't quite flow the way you would want a movie like this to flow in like modern times. There's a lot of things that are of the nature, but the cast is incredible, soundtrack is incredible. The messaging they're trying to get across is really important and really unique and significant. The approaches, while cheesy and like oftentimes laughable, really dig into stories and messages and morals that I think are important. It talks a lot about community building. It talks a lot about trust. It talks a lot about like having faith in one's neighbor and standing up for what you believe in, because if you don't, and if everyone around you doesn't, like you will just be steamrolled. It's truly an exercise in the idea of if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And so like,
including the Golden Lords.
yeah, that's why while I find the movie to be hilarious and like super cheesy, I think it's really important and like a really good time capsule of storytelling at that time, and like one storyteller's desire to pitch a very specific narrative.
Yeah, I finished this film and felt a nostalgia for a time period that I don't think maybe ever existed.
Yeah.
You know, like today, I'm not going to get into Bumper Zone territory too much here, but like the idea that this community could come together against gang violence in 1993 feels like an antiquated idea that I wish was true. But the divisiveness that I see just like in the universe lately
You don't
makes
have
this
faith.
feel
Yeah.
quaint and like, but maybe that's what makes it important, right? Like maybe that's part of the lesson here is that like it's still true, even if it feels like quaint by today's standards. And yeah, maybe that's part of the reason this movie has relevance.
It is interesting. Like there's certain decisions that were made that I'm like, wow, that was a choice in my opinion, because for instance, the gathering place in this film is a community center.
Yeah.
I thought that was a choice because very often, as is in real life, in that instance, we would have seen that occur in a black city in a church.
Right.
And so that was something that I deemed to be interesting. The line you had about when Robert Townsend gets in trouble by the parents for telling the child to run away as opposed to fight his bullies, parents will always tell their child, you have to stand up to the bully. It's the only way to get the bullying to stop. I think that was a very deliberate choice. I think it was very specifically put in there to set up this character as someone who was not necessarily deserving, but needing of these powers, because like, that's just not how you deal with the bully. And I thought it was a very like jarring scene to have in there, that this teacher, this clear coward, is telling one of his students who's being bullied to like just run away. And the parents are pissed because now he's getting bullied by more kids, rightfully so.
That's the microcosm of the whole film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we haven't brought up yet is that the climax of this film is actually about the Meteor Man losing his powers.
Yes. So we
And
learn
just
throughout
side
the
note-
movie that like the more he uses his Meteor Man powers, the more it is zapped from him.
The thing I don't understand, maybe we're not going to get a good answer here, but it seems like the more he uses his powers, the more he has to like rest to recover his powers.
Yeah.
Not like they were temporary powers. But then at the end of the film, when he's fighting the leader of the Golden Lords in the big climactic showdown, they find another piece of the meteor.
Yeah.
And they both reach out and touch it, and then they both gain powers.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't super clear to me if like the powers that he gained from being hit by this meteor were like permanent. I think what happens is he got permanent powers, but if he blocks 10,000 bullets, he's going to have to rest for a while to be able to block bullets again.
So I disagree.
Okay.
And I sat with this, and I think I'm struggling with two things. Very cheesy movie, lots of holes, but it is interesting that you bring that up, because one of the things I wanted to bring up, feel free to correct me.
Okay.
But did it seem like that meteor was targeting him when it came down from the sky?
Oh, absolutely.
And went through that skinny little alley and like pinned him against a wall?
Yeah.
And the meteor embeds itself into his body.
Yeah. Like he goes to the hospital immediately.
Yes. And so I thought that was interesting. So I had a couple questions with regards to that, because Bill Cosby rubs the meteor. He gets some powers. The leader of the Golden Lords rubs the meteor. He gets some powers. One, why are everyone's powers of equal scale when Robert Townsend's character has the meteor embedded in him?
Yeah, it's basically part of him now.
Everyone else simply touches the meteor and has equal powers. That I found concerning. But because of that, because of the leveling of the powers, I think that the meteor powers have to be temporary. That's the only way I can explain that. Like, they truly have to be fleeting, which then leads me to my largest question for the film. Was it ever resolved? Because at the end, it seems like Meteor Man is powerless, and the people who saved the city from the gang's overlords, who seem like a pretty stereotypical generic Italian mob, that they were a branch of.
Yeah.
The people who saved them from that are the Bloods and the Crips.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. The other gangs, the less golden gangs,
Yes.
joined forces to get the Golden Lords out of there. I mean, I think conceptually that's what they're trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Is that like it's not about the powers. Robert Townsend's character in this film needed to experience the powers to learn the lesson that you got to stand up for what's right no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if like there are consequences for it. And so at the end of the film, he doesn't have powers. Momentarily, he is without powers, but goes out to fight the Golden Lords anyway and gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah, it's bad.
But that moment of heroism inspires the rest of the community to stand up as well. And so all of a sudden, it's less of a superhero showdown fight at the end of the film. It's an entire community coming together against a gang that has been oppressing them. And so you got James Earl Jones, who his character in this film is like an avid record collector,
Yes.
Prizes records above everything. And he's not getting out of his apartment, but he's got the window open and he's throwing his precious records at the Golden Lords.
Yeah, and we need to talk about his aim with records is crazy.
It's
That
amazing.
was absurd. He's got Hawkeye level aim with these records. He is taking people out with Luther Vandross. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. But yeah, ultimately, like the film is resolved because essentially the Bloods and Crips stop the other gang.
Yes.
Because of the scene halfway through the film where Meteor Man is like, hey guys, you got to resolve your differences with the cops. And so they're like, no, this is our community too. We have to stand up for it, which is like poignant and cool. So like, does Meteor Man have powers at the end of the film? It's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because he was able to stand up and do the right thing and inspire his community to essentially like stand up to their oppressors.
Yeah.
That became the real message of the film. It sucks though, because I would like to see the Meteor Man come back in any form.
Oh, it'd be phenomenal.
And I don't know that can happen
yeah.
canonically.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like to your point about like the gangs coming in, I do think it's interesting, like even that is commentary on like what role do like quote unquote gangs play in communities. People invested in the community, even if they are gangs, protecting that community and really stepping up to do what can't be done by the law, the resources, or the other tools at their disposal. It is people helping people.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty powerful and cool message. Like, I think we've hit a point where a lot of people have lost faith in that as an option.
Sure.
A lot of people don't believe anyone is coming to help or to save
people
the
aren't
day.
even talking to their neighbors.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
so how do you even achieve something like this if you don't know the person who lives 3 doors down from you? And if they get locked out, like you don't have an extra key to help them out.
Right.
And so I do think we saw a look into a simpler time when that was more common and like we truly had richer, deeper
I wouldn't say
community
more
ties.
common. I would say more feasible.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
feels more feasible that this was a thing that could have happened in the 90s. And now it feels like a historical artifact of a nicer time.
Yeah.
Which is really saying something if
It
you think
is.
about it.
It is.
Can I take a moment to talk about Sinbad?
Yeah, hit me. I got a lot of thoughts about Sinbad.
I did not like him in this film. I just did not like Sinbad in this film at all. Sinbad was doing a bit, which is fine. That's what Sinbad does. But correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe the bit was that Sinbad was actually a white guy. And he was dating his first African-American girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's the bit he was doing.
Which, for context, could not be done in 2026.
Nah, you couldn't do it
Like,
now.
Sinbad gets canceled. It is deemed offensive.
Yeah.
The whole 9.
Yeah.
This is from a different time. It like, if you're not going to get along with this comedy, like, understand this, the 90s was a completely different thing.
Like, the concept is funny. And I understand why the concept is here. But the execution of it was so painful. It was like watching the British version of The Office.
Yeah.
Like, that's a funny show, but I'm not laughing.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
cringy.
kind of like, the whole time. And he's only on screen for like like 2 scenes.
Yeah, I was gonna say at max 5 minutes.
And in one of them, he runs into Meteor Man at the mall, and his line is like, "Man, this is my first time in an inner city mall. There aren't cigarettes on the floor or anything." And it's just like,
yeah, it's
bad. Why are you here?
It's bad.
It's so bad.
But so the other thing to keep in mind is a lot of these characters are caricatures.
Yeah.
And I think that is important, especially at that time when this movie was being made, in order to drive home some of these characters, like you had to take them to the extreme of what someone would recognize.
It's also a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Not an actual comic book movie. It's a superhero movie.
But the example I'll give is actually Robert Townsend's dad.
Yeah.
So like, I love his character's portrayal because everybody I know either has that dad or that uncle or that brother who's like, I will not be tread on. Like every black family has an uncle or dad or a brother who just will not be tread on. So like the scene where he won't cross the street for the gang, like to avoid the gang who's selling crack at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, I thought was really like important because everybody has that uncle where it's like, yo, it's not bothering nobody for you just to cross the street. But he's like, nah, I'm not gonna let anybody push me aside.
Right.
I'm not gonna let anybody take me out of my neighborhood or do wrong in front of me. And so I really thought that was an impactful scene. But again, that is a caricature of a person that exists.
Right.
So like that human exists, and like, would they necessarily deem that they needed to fight that day at that moment? Not necessarily, but I understand putting it in the film to really give you a window into who that person is. You know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to get into a little bit deeper into Meteor Man himself, because he is a caricature of one, the human behind a superhero. He's also a caricature of the superhero. So I wanted to just run down some of the details about Meteor Man and get your thoughts.
Okay.
First and foremost, we've already addressed this. He is clearly targeted by the meteor. He went to Howard.
I think so.
He went to Howard. I thought that was a really dope detail, and really impactful at that time, like to have that on the big screen. He can learn a book by touching it. He has x-ray vision. He can talk to animals. He's got super jumping abilities. He's got laser eyes. Hold on, let me get through this. He's got weather control. When he fell, he was so impactful. He created an earthquake. He has super speed, and he also has super strength. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, you guys super strength. Super farming?
I got weather control.
Okay, weather control. Yeah, I guess that's it. I think that's it.
It's a lot. It's a lot of power.
I mean, he's superhero.
Yes, he is generic superhero.
Trademark superhero. He doesn't shoot like flaming meteors or anything. He just like got his powers from a space rock.
Yeah, we also need to talk about the fact that his first drug breakup clearly got everyone high. Like he just blew.
Can we talk about that? Because that was my favorite part, actually. Because Meteor Man does go to a factory where they are making cocaine.
Yes.
And uses super breath, which I guess is another power that he has.
We miss super breath.
To like blow the cocaine around the room, essentially, in a room full of people who are making cocaine. And one of them is Bismarcky.
Yes.
And so, but then it cuts. Right. And it goes to something else, like he's fighting crime somewhere else. Right. And it's only later that the Golden Lords go to the place where they were making drugs. And they're like, what happened? And then this entire room of people, including Bismarcky, just start laughing because they're so high.
Everyone's high.
Because everyone's high. And at the time, I saw the scene, he blows the cocaine, and I was like, oh my God, all those people are going to get high.
Yep.
And then it cut, and it went to something else. And I was like, oh, I guess we don't get to see it. And then they brought it back, and I was like, yes! Because I got to see Bismarcky being really high.
Yes.
Which was a highlight for me.
So that was a fun superhero moment for me. Another fun superhero moment for me is the terrible costume montage of his mom.
No,
his mom just stitching together.
His mom is actually secretly my favorite part of this film because she goes nuts.
Oh my goodness.
She is absolutely insane. And I don't mean like her designs are insane. They are. Like every time she makes one, she is cackling like a mad woman.
She's thrilled.
She's so thrilled. Oh my God. They made one with like police sirens on it.
Oh my goodness.
They made one with Polaroids so he can take pictures of crimes happening in real time. The line he delivers is, I don't have any proof. Yes, I do. terrible.
It's functionally awful. That's such a cheesy way to do this. We're trying to portray in that montage is one, it's really hard to nail down a superhero costume. Like, we just know this. Like, what's the right balance of functionality and flair?
I'm not actually sure that they actually did it.
They didn't. And then number two, the idea that this mom is so invested in her child becoming a superhero and what that means for her as a proud mama.
Yeah,
Like, she's a proud mama.
there's also of that. There's a lot of time spent on how the community is reacting to
exactly. That leads into like the community center meeting where he tells his parents not to tell anyone. They tell the community center and they have all these demands. They give him a Meteor phone.
Yeah, that's exactly part of the overall narrative, right? Is that they think like, oh, our problems are solved, not by us. We don't have to do anything. But like now we have Superman like living a block up.
Who can just
so
fix
like
it?
he'll just fix everything and we don't have to take any responsibility. And that's like another fallacy. That's the part where the community learns the lesson that Meteor Man learns himself, that you have to take individual responsibility and stand up against the things that are making life difficult or dangerous or whatever.
Yeah, if your neighbor's starving, like maybe if they've been out of work for a couple months, maybe we could all pitch in and bring them some meals.
Right.
Just help them get by. Little things like that. And I think that's truly the message of the film is that like we've got to help each other. We can't rely on any single superhero to come and save the day. This is about people connecting with people and helping each other and lifting each other up, which is a really important message. So what are your thoughts on Meteor Man as a generic superhero?
I mean, he's not my favorite superhero.
Obviously.
And that's kind of the point, right? The character himself is kind of a doofy, like down on his luck dude. And then he gets powers and like he enjoys that and it's fun to see him do it.
It doesn't change who he is.
But it doesn't really change who he is.
And I think that's important.
I think what's fun about this movie is that in a lot of ways you could watch it from the perspective of what would it be like if just an average dude got superpowers, even momentarily. You know, like the thing about the pantheon of superheroes in the MCU and the DC or whatever, like they all have these like mythological level backstories, like tragedies, like all these things that like plague them, affect them, multiple years of storylines and character development and all this stuff. Meteor Man has like 93 minutes. And it's just a dude who got superpowers. And they're not even like that unique, except for even the touch a book and instantly understand it thing has been done since. Certainly. It's interesting to see what it's like if you just give a dude superpowers.
I think the most important thing that this movie is trying to portray is one, we have to rely on each other. This is about people connecting, coming together, help each other. But two, getting superpowers doesn't change who you are.
Yeah.
And you have to be the type of person that you want to be, that you think is just and right and honorable and impactful on your own. You can't just suddenly if you just get jacked, that doesn't make you a tough guy.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? All of those little myths that we tell each other that like, oh man, if I just make $50K more than I'm making now, everything's going to be okay. It's not going to change your spending habits.
Right.
If you just get jacked and you're still boring, like that's not necessarily going to change your dating life. Like
it's not?
I mean, I would hope not for you. Otherwise your wife would be in some trouble. So
she told me I got to get jacked. She was like, if you're not yoked, then we're done
out
here.
Oh yeah, man. What's the timeline?
It's not enough time.
Oh boy,
it's not enough time.
All right, we're gonna get you on the routine.
I gotta get on some protein shakes. I gotta get some creatine.
All right, so before you give me your thoughts on the movie writ large, I did want to get into the final fight and get your thoughts on that.
You want to talk about the catwalk?
Well, what I'm calling it is the meteor fight.
Yeah, the meteor fight.
The meteor fight where both supervillain and superhero now have meteor powers, and I found this to be very, hold on, let me give you a quick rundown. I found this to be very entertaining, and a few highlights that I wanted to hit you with before you give me your thoughts is one, obviously, there's a catwalk off in the middle of this fight. Meteor Man gets thrown through a truck, and I don't mean like he gets thrown into the truck. I mean, he gets thrown in the front window, and he exits out the back window.
Yes.
Debo, the character who plays Debo on Friday, just pulls off his cast. He got his arm broken earlier in the movie by Meteor Man. He pulls off his cast only to have multiple bones be broken again shortly thereafter. The murder of a dog. The gangs are packing heat. I'm talking, I believe there was a rocket launcher in there somewhere. There's automatic weapons. There's like the gangs are packing heat, and the cops, as the trope in these films, are very incompetent.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just a quick rundown of the meteor fight that inevitably ends with both superhero type characters, superhero and supervillain, losing their powers and the gang saving the day.
So let me fill in a couple of gaps.
Okay.
The first gap is that at this point in the film, Meteor Man doesn't have powers anymore.
Yes, he starts said meteor fight without powers.
But then Bill Cosby shows up.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby has no lines in this film.
Yeah, it's not aging well.
He has no, yes, obviously problematic. And actually, I want to talk about that later. We'll get into that. Let me just get through this fight. Meteor Man has no powers. Bill Cosby in this film plays a homeless man who, when Robert Townsend was struck by the meteor, found a piece that was not absorbed.
Stole a little chunk.
And put it in a paper bag and took it back to his homeless camp where he lives with a bunch of dogs.
Yeah.
And then figures out that, like, if I just kind of like rub my hand on this meteor, I can do all kinds of cool stuff like telekinesis and like communicate with my dogs and stuff like that.
Watching TV through other people's walls.
Yes, he's using X-ray vision to watch television through other people's walls and using telekinesis to change the channel, and it's great. So he shows up, he's got this meteor, and I believe he doesn't offer it. It gets knocked out of his hand.
He's like giving some.
He was helping
subtly.
He was helping with powers,
and like it got hit.
But the meteor gets
gets
knocked out of his hands, and then the bad guy, the leader of the Golden Lords, and Meteor Man both see it. They both reach for it. They both get powers. Now, the truck that Meteor Man gets thrown through, I believe, is some kind of lending library.
Yeah, it's a mobile library,
and this is critically important because Meteor Man is on his back, surrounded by books. And he touches one, and it happens to be a Bruce Lee, like kung fu instructional manual, like the way of Jeet Kune Do. And all of a sudden, Robert Townsend's Meteor Man is fighting like Bruce Lee, which was incredible. And then it runs out because 30 seconds, right? You can only do it for 30 seconds. And so then he goes to touch the same book. He's like, I got to touch it again to get Bruce Lee powers. He picks up the wrong book, and somehow the leader of the Golden Lords touches the same book.
No, he throws it at him.
He throws it.
He picks it up. He immediately realizes,
he's made a horrible mistake.
Fashion runway.
It's how to be a fashion model book.
And so he throws it at the leader.
And then instead of fighting, they do have a Vogue off in the middle of the street for 30 seconds until they come to their senses and start fighting for real again. And holy fuck, it's so good.
It's phenomenal. It was completely unnecessary. Everyone in the background is so confused. They're like, what? And then it ends and Robert Townsend goes, oh my God.
Yes.
Just exceptional.
Yes. It's incredible. It's incredible. I do want to bring it back to the Bill Cosby thing.
Okay.
Because how do you feel about the fact that Bill Cosby is a part of this? Because, like, contextually, like, if I saw this movie in 1993, seeing Bill Cosby in this thing would have been so incredible.
Yep.
Because of the Cosby Show and what a big deal that was.
Mm-hmm.
And just like seeing him in the film, he has no lines. He at one point does bark.
Yeah.
Because he's communicating with dogs, and that's how you communicate with dogs. Look it up. But he has no lines in this film, and I was kind of wondering about that because, like, could they afford to have him in here as a cameo, but like, not with lines?
That's 100%
not
why
with lines.
That's 100% why he doesn't have any lines.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the financials of it.
That's what I thought. And so, but he is in here, and he does play a critical role. And the thing that's frustrating about this is that obviously we know what we know about Bill Cosby now, and it's problematic, right? But like, this is still a historical landmark film.
Yeah.
Particularly for African Americans and like for all of us, but like for what it represents for the African American community is huge. Does it bug you? Or do you feel like it is tainted in some way because of what we know about Bill Cosby now?
Tainted in some way? No. This is the struggle. Your point about it being contextual matters because for what it was meant to be, it was every decision made was clearly intentional.
Yeah.
You cannot have this movie at that time and try and do what you're trying to do for the Black community without Bill Cosby at that time.
Yeah.
Like, he would have been a massive name to land. And so the question really becomes, like, how much information did we have at that time about what was going on with Bill Cosby?
None. We didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know if anyone involved knows. Is it a shame? Absolutely, because like he's one of the worst predators we've seen around. And
It just sucks because now you can't really talk about this film
yes,
and the
without
historical
touching on that.
significance of this film without mentioning this.
And that's one of the things that we're running into as we learn more and more about these predatory people, the Harvey Weinsteins, the Bill Cosbys, like all of these people that touched really significant cultural milestones in a really big way that we're learning are just the worst of the worst. And so it's really hard to separate the art from the artist. Like with Meteor Man in particular, we've already said it, Bill Cosby's in 10 minutes maybe.
Not even.
And
No,
you
when no
have
lines.
to address it. Like
you have
to address it.
I think there are a lot of things in this film that felt like they had to be included as like a legitimizing force.
Yeah.
And I think having Bill Cosby in there at all, even in this cameo role in 1993, totally legitimizes this film. I think starting the soundtrack with Michael Jackson, like right away, not a lot of Michael Jackson,
Exactly.
just enough,
Just a touch.
just a touch. Yeah, it's like it's a legitimizing thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. Look, there's a lot of actors in this film that are still making movies.
Yep.
Like right now.
Yep.
You know, it's wild to see Don Cheadle in this film knowing what he's done since.
Yeah. I really want to stress how like significant this cast is.
Yeah. A buddy of mine who I will refer to as Oron because that is his Matrix name. And when I told him that I watched this film, he said that I made his day because this is one of his favorite films. He feels like it's so important. He described it as like a Black royalty superhero film, which I think is absolutely right. And just the fact that I took time to watch it, he was like, no way, no fucking way you watched this movie. I was like, no, dude, I watched it. I loved it. It was really cool.
It's so much fun. Yeah. So then give me your final takeaways. Let's do the final takeaways.
It's not getting pruned. It
ranking.
deserves to be on the timeline. You do have to appreciate this movie for what it is. If you are going into this thinking that it's going to be at all like the MCU or anything like that, you're missing out. This movie, I feel like, has much more in touch with 90s movies like Wayne's World. Like some of those like SNL movies where like there's funny moments, but there's also like a heartfelt message. We got a lot of those in the 90s, and that style of movie I don't think is around that much these days. Obviously, there's a lot of historical significance here.
Yeah.
And that alone is enough to keep it around. And not to mention the cast, which is like wicked stacked.
Yeah.
I won't say that it's a great movie.
Yes.
I don't think it's a great movie, but it's really fun. And I'm glad I watched it. And I appreciate it for what it is.
All right. So what are you giving it?
Like a 7?
All right.
Like a 7?
7.
It's not great. It's good and it's important in a lot of ways, but I didn't watch it and think like, oh, this is one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen or anything like that.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I remember this from my childhood. Like it was one of those movies that was just always on TV. So I saw it a bunch when I was a kid. And then I never saw it again. And rewatching it was so much fun. Like the cast is amazing. The soundtrack is amazing. The story is so ridiculous and so 90s. I cannot emphasize enough how much of a time capsule this movie is and how much it really can bring you into film, comedy, like drama, all of those, like a snippet into the filmmaking world of the 90s and how we were positioning things. It was really good. So like when I think of this movie, I think of Demolition Man with Sly Stallone and Wesley Snipes and like very similar tropes and vibes. And again, I'm just like, this was such a product of its time and it was so trailblazing for what it aimed to do. Was it successful in all of the ways? No. But it was really taking big swings, and I think it was really important as a community, as a people. Like, for me, as just a black kid seeing a black superhero on the screen, it matters, and it was really cool. And because of that, I'm definitely going to bump it up a little bit. But I agree with you. Not a great movie, but for cultural significance, for film significance, I'll go with the 7.2. That'll give us a collective rating of a 7.1, and I feel pretty good about that.
I don't know if it's in the Library of Congress, but it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And speaking of which, I just want to point out that the only reason we watch this is because you tracked down a DVD copy.
Yes.
It's not streaming.
This isn't on any platform.
And I don't think it's on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. So, like, the only way you can watch this movie is if you track down a VHS copy or a DVD copy, which sucks because I think that this is 93 approximate minutes that everyone should see.
Yeah.
It's not great, but everybody should see it. That's kind of where I land with it. Yeah.
100%. Go out, buy it, watch it, support, get a little piece of film history, and enjoy. And that has been the Entertainment Variance Authority review of Meteor Man. We had a good time.
Wait. It's the Meteor Man.
Of the Meteor Man. We had a dope time. We hope you did too. Shout out to J-Mac and Danielle. Check them out on Life Begins at 8-Bit. Shout out to They Call Him Swerve for our intro and exit music. In between time, in the meantime, follow us, like, subscribe, give us 5 stars, and we'll check you out on the next one. Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Entertainment Variance Authority. Listen to additional episodes wherever you get your podcasts and keep an ear out for future episodes.
Can we record like a little post credits real quick?
Yeah, go.
There's one thing I wanted to talk about. There's one thing I wanted to talk about from this movie that we didn't talk about in the actual episode. I really love that the Meteor Man's X-ray vision manifests in 2 ways. One way is he can see through walls and see into rooms and stuff. Right. So he's like the wall. When they do this, there's just like a green screen or whatever, like oval shape that is his vision cut out of the wall, and you can see into it and like see what's going on in the room next door. That's fine. The other way that his X-ray vision manifests is at one point he looks out his like hospital. He's still in the hospital. He looks out his hospital room window into like a courtyard in the center of the hospital.
It's uncomfortable.
And everyone is in their underwear.
It's not great.
And he's like, oh yeah, I can see through their clothes, but not their underwear.
Yes.
That's too many levels. He can see through their outer clothes, but not their underwear.
And he doesn't press it. He doesn't try to.
He's just like, I'm good. That's enough. That's enough. Yeah, that's enough. I just thought it was really funny.
Do you think that was just for us? Do you think he pressed it? You think he went a level deeper?
Dude, he's a little horny in this film.
He's a little horny.
He's a little horny in this film.
He's definitely a little horny. Is he horny?
Yes.
When was he horny?
He's pushing the nurse button to get the hot nurse to come back.
That's fair. I mean, the nurse was hot.
She was pretty hot.
It's hot.
I'm like, no shade, but like, I'm just saying, the Meteor Man's a little horny.
So you think he pressed it? You think he went a level deeper?
You're telling me that you think that what we got was like the director interfering with the actual character's powers?
That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you if you think what we saw was him going underwear deep, but actually the Meteor Man went skin deep.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna sit up for this. I think Meteor Man pressed it.
You think?
I think he maybe not like a lot, but at least one time he was like,
you think he pressed it?
Let me just okay. All right.
Here's the thing.
At least once.
I agree. I think he pressed it. But the reason I think he pressed it isn't because he's overly horny. And specifically,
I'm not saying he's overly horny.
What I'm talking about,
I'm saying he's a little horny.
Specifically what I'm talking about, the Meteor Man.
Yeah.
I actually think he pressed it because he wants to know how far his powers can go. Like, I actually don't.
Absolutely not.
I don't.
This
think,
was not an educational exercise.
I don't think the Meteor Man that we are actually. You know what? You're right. It wasn't an education. I don't think he pressed it. I think the Meteor Man that we're presented with wouldn't press it. I think he's a little bit of a coward.
So you think that he would?
I think he's a lot of bit of a
You
coward.
think he was? You think he was pressing the nurse button in his hospital bed, and then like getting all cozy, like, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I'm a little under the weather. I need nurse attention. You think that was so that he could just see her in her jams?
Yes, because let me put it this way: did he ever ask that nurse out? He didn't. Bro, he didn't even ask her for her number.
Dude, you know why? You know why?
You think he already saw the goods?
No. That's not why.
Saw the goods.
That's not why. Because he didn't realize that's not what he actually wanted. What he didn't know, what he could not accept, what he was not brave enough to even think about, is that actually he wanted to take that older nurse out on a date.
Oh, you think he was into the older nurse?
Yeah, at first he was like, "Oh no, I got the wrong one." Ha ha ha. And then he was like, "Actually, I kind of respect her game. Maybe I'll take her up on it." And then next thing you know,
you got Robert Townsend into mature women?
I'm just saying. She played a good game. Okay? She got some moves. She said some things.
She was bringing the heat. She was laying it down. Now, whether or not he was receiving, I'm not willing to make any.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
She was laying it down.
We'll never know.
Okay, we needed this. I don't think Robert Townsend pressed it. I don't think the Meteor Man pressed it. I don't think he had it in his soul.
He did one time.
Remember when he got stuck on the pole and the woman thought he was peeping on her and he caused an earthquake by falling down?
Nobody wants to get caught.
That's fair.
Nobody wants to get caught.
That's fair. I ain't got the Meteor Man as a peeper.
This is why we don't have X-ray vision.
That's true.
Nothing would get done.
That's true.
Nothing would get done.
So then you disagree with my premise that the world would be a more honest place if everybody was naked.
It would be more honest.
I think it'd be a much more honest place if we were all naked.
What do you mean by that, though? Do you mean like
thing.
people would be more honest?
Yes, because I think it's a lot harder to lie if people can immediately see if you are, let's say, responsive to them.
Sure.
I think it's a lot harder to lie.
Sure. Yeah.
People's opinions about others were immediately.
I'm glad you brought this up because actually I've been thinking a lot about honesty lately, and I've been thinking about how important and powerful it can be to just be honest all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm entering my villain phase.
Oh boy!
And the way that's manifesting is no more white lies to like spare feelings. Like maybe I just put it out there.
Okay.
Maybe just put it out there. Be direct.
Oh boy!
Say what I mean.
Here's the thing. Look. As someone who
I'm gonna keep wearing clothes.
As someone who dips their toes in that arena,
mm-hmm.
Be careful. Be careful. Look, I'm just saying, be careful. I've said some things out of love to friends.
Yeah.
That, in retrospect, I realize may have impacted them much more severely than I had intended. One time it was about someone's hair.
Yeah, sure.
I was just trying to, save them some grief.
Well, it's like this, right? Like, I could point blank just give you a compliment because I mean it. Because it is I make an observation of you as a person and your character, and then I say something like, "I really love that you have dope ass graphic tees that you wear all the time. I think that's really cool.
Thank you."
And I could also say something like, "I think you have terrible taste in movies."
Wow.
And even though I believe that to be true,
wow,
it's not a thing that you don't have to say it.
Oh,
you don't have to say it.
The strays coming hard. Wow. I did not see that bus coming, y'all. Good Lord, that came out of nowhere. Whoo, sideswiped the shit out of me. Good Lord. Oh, you gonna pay for this.
That's what you're saying.
Pay for this. Okay.